I read, and in reading, lifted the curtains of the impossible that blind the mind and looked out into the unknown. William Hope Hodgson. Hi, hello, and welcome again everyone to another episode of Natural Juan. This time around we're going to discuss none other than one of my favorite authors, William Hope Hodgson, one of the forerunners of cosmic horror or the weird fiction genre. Before all that though, I'd like to ask you all to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell for notifications. Also, here's a quick shout out to Jonathan Green, my patron in Patreon. If you would also like to support my channel and what I do here, you'll find my Patreon information in the description below, along with a PayPal account so you can make a quick and easy donation. Okay, so with all that out of the way, let's get started on this video. William Hope Hodgson is an English author born on November 15, 1877 in Blackmore End and died on April 19, 1918, somewhere on the battlefields of World War I in Belgium. He was quite famous and even a little infamous in his time due to his work on essays and guides regarding exercise and bodybuilding. He even once got into a bit of a conflict with Houdini, the legendary escape artist, when he gave the latter restraints that proved somewhat difficult to overcome. That said, while he was also known for many adventures and misadventures he had during his time, Hodgson is best known for his strange stories. Stories so strange, in fact, that he was one of the major inspirations for horror legend HP Lovecraft himself. However, one of the things that separated their work was that Hodgson's tend to lean more towards action than horror. Somewhat similar, I guess, to Brian Lumley, for whom I already made a video. While his heroes often find themselves pitted against otherworldly monsters, they often find the will to overcome this and win the day, though these victories do come at a cost every now and again. It's all too bad that the author lost his life to an artillery shell in World War I. I think it would have been quite interesting to see what else the man could have written later in his life. What's even sadder, at least from what I can see, Hodgson is nowhere near as popular as Lovecraft is today, even though the latter himself states that his work is mostly heavily inspired by the former. But now we're going to take a look at some of Hodgson's most notable works. First up is The Boats of the Glencarrig. This particular story resonates with me because of its nautical horror theme, and just about anything nautical, be it Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea or Moby Dick by Herman Melville, reminds me of my grandfather Thomas Keyes. Anyway, the story of The Boats of Glencarrig focuses on a group of survivors on a lifeboat who escaped the sinking of the titular Glencarrig, and written in an archaic style that is somewhat difficult for more modern readers to understand. Comprised of sailors and passengers, the people on the lifeboat soon find themselves in a mysterious part of the sea that is unlike any that they've ever seen before. After floating at sea for a while, the survivors soon find an abandoned ship in the middle of the ocean. They board the empty ship and manage to resupply, though they do find themselves more than a little perplexed and a little scared of how the ship came to be abandoned. They even find a note left behind by a female passenger, telling them ominous warnings. They are then attacked by a tentacled creature and other horrors, and are forced to leave the ship. They then paddle onward on their lifeboat and encounter masses of seaweed floating on the surface. The men are forced to fight for their lives against a giant crab and plant-like monsters lurking about. However, after several battles, the men finally reach habitable land and also locate other survivors trapped in the seaweed. They decide to help these other survivors, even though they themselves are constantly attacked by monsters as well, even losing one of their number to the horrific weed men. After managing to rescue the other survivors, the heroes are finally ready to leave, but are in for one nasty surprise from the sea monsters who are lying in wait for them. Overall, the story of The Boats of the Glencarrig is more adventure than horror, even if it does share similarities with many of HP Lovecraft's work. The sheer determination shown by the narrator and his companions show that even otherworldly monsters are no match for humans whose wills are combined. This is also in direct contrast to Lovecraft's more controversial stances and beliefs, as the heroes are all from different races and classes, but are able to cooperate and thus win the day despite the challenges arrayed against them. Second would be the Nightland, perhaps one of Hodgson's stories that lean more towards horror, though not by much. The story starts off as a man who thinks about reincarnation after his wife dies. However, delving further into the concept of reincarnation, he soon finds himself millions of years in the future when the sun has literally gone dark and mankind is preyed upon by ravenous monsters dwelling in the darkness. In this far future, humans have taken shelter in the last redoubt, a vast superstructure resembling a featureless pyramid that towers miles into the sky. It is apparently powered by the remaining volcanic activity in the Earth, granting its denizens too with extremely advanced technology. In this point in time, humans have achieved a technological singularity where war and sickness have become a thing of the past. There is also a form of telepathy that is now prevalent among humans that is achieved through unspecified brain elements. But while mankind lives in a utopian society, there are still countless monsters hiding out in the darkness. It is soon revealed that there are simply too many monsters out in the darkness for humankind to ever hopefully defeat, and there are utterly colossal monsters that are slowly making their way towards the last redoubt that could very well weaken its defenses if not destroy it entirely. Noticeable too is that while humans have access to devastatingly powerful firearms, including energy cannons of sorts, most warriors of humanity prefer to use something called a discos, essentially an electrical circular buzzsaw. An intelligent electric buzzsaw that becomes more powerful depending on the user's emotions and can actually avoid hurting humans even when turned to its full power. This is because even Earth's volcanic energy, referred to as Earth current and may even have supernatural properties, will eventually be depleted, and once that happens, the monsters will be able to freely attack the last redoubt. That is why they refuse to use their energy weapons, as this will quickly deplete the energy reserves of the Earth current. The hero finds himself both pleased with humanity's current utopian society, but is at the same time frightened by the horrors that are now pitted against it. He also soon discovers that the reincarnation of his wife is also present in the world, but can be found in a different, lesser redoubt. That is when he takes it on himself to rescue his beloved, despite the many dangers and horrors that wait for him in the titular Nightland. Third, we'll tackle the house on the Borderland, which is probably the closest we'll actually come to Hodgson writing a full-on horror story. It is the story of a man who chooses to stay in a strange new house with his sister and dog. The diary of this man is found by two youths, traveling through Ireland, and soon discover the monsters and horrors that the man is forced to face on a frequent basis. But first, he talks about strange pigmen that attack the house and its occupants. It is then discovered that the house is actually a kind of hub to different places and times. He is forced to defend his home against the oncoming monsters, and also discovers even darker secrets surrounding the house. All things considered though, House on the Borderland is really close to some of Lovecraft's work, as it presents bleak secrets of the world and other horrors. It also asks the question if the man might just be hallucinating the whole thing. Either or, it's best the readers decide for themselves what's true or not. Hodgson has a lot of other works worth mentioning, such as The Adventures of Thomas Carnacki, similar to Sherlock Holmes but with more supernatural elements, and A Voice in the Night, which was even later adapted into a Japanese film by the same people who made Godzilla. Anyway, that's it for this episode of Natural Juan. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please feel free to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell for notifications. If you'd also like to support my channel and my activities here, you'll find my Patreon information in the description below, along with a PayPal account if you want to make a quick and easy donation. Natural Juan out.